Behind me is my brand new laser, and it's already broken. Well, to be fair, it's not broken, but it did have some growing pains. So, in this video, I'm going to tell you what wasn't working, how we got it fixed, and my overall first impressions now that I've been using it for a few months. So, stay tuned. So this is the Aeon Mira 9 Redline series. No, your audio's not bad. My audio's bad. It crapped out in the middle of recording and I lost everything. So, we're back on a new day, so I can say what I was trying to say, that behind me is the Aeon Mira 9 Redline edition. It's a 35.5 by 23.5 working area 100 watt CO2 laser. This thing has all the bells and the whistles, and with that, if you've never used something to advance, if things aren't working properly, sometimes you're wondering, am I doing it wrong, or is there something wrong with the machine? And in this case, there was something wrong with the machine. So let's get into the first issue that we worked on. So issue number one is anytime I moved the bed up and down, I heard a popping sound. So it would kind of go down, normal motor sounds, and you hear kind of a pop or a twing. And I didn't know if that was maybe like, the metal relaxing or something was rubbing. But everything looked okay. I didn't notice that something was really wrong until I went to go do my first cut on a project I was working on. And as the laser head moved around the bed, it started to move the workpiece as it got closer to the right side of the machine. So that told me that the bed wasn't level. Looking in, I didn't really know how to change it, so I went ahead and reached out to support. And within, I would say, roughly 24 hours, maybe less because they're on the East Coast, I got a response back, and they kind of walked me through the steps of how to fix a bed leveling issue. I'm going to kind of show you what they showed me, just in case you're having something similar, or you just need to know if your bed's level. So the support team told me to check inside here and kind of, I moved the Z up and down, and what I noticed is that originally this gear was way higher and out of alignment with the gear in the back. And so what was happening is that anytime I moved the Z, because they were out of alignment, basically you were hearing the bed pop as it was trying to get back into alignment. So support sent me over, I kind of sent them a video of this, and then support sent me a video over on how to loosen all the belts. So you have to loosen all of these to create slack in the line, and then once you create that slack, you should be able to get the belt off, which then allows you to easily move this guy into alignment and manually twist it until your bed is level. And so once your bed is level and you check all four corners, then you wrap everything back around and then slowly go to the process of tightening it up until you get nice. Bam. So yeah, so that's how we fixed issue one. A few emails back and forth with the support team. They were very responsive, and because I have an IT background, I kind of tried to make sure I gave as many notes as possible, any videos as possible, because I try to self-diagnose everything. But they were able to provide me instructions and video on kind of how to get that started. So special thanks to the Aeon support team for that. But now on to issue number two. So issue number two was that I was getting a error message on the control panel that my Mirror 3 was overheating. Now first I was like, oh, this is cool. It does temperature checks on all of my mirrors, but also I just turned on the machine. How is Mirror 3 overheating? And so if you look through the machine, you'll have multiple mirrors in the back, on the side and heading toward the laser head. And so they each have their own individual sensor. So without digging too deep, it's kind of like if you're running the laser a long time, maybe at high speeds, maybe it's telling you there's a lot of heat on that glass, which could eventually affect performance on it. But I just turned on the machine and there was nothing, there were no laser firing, so I thought it was a fault. It wasn't stopping me from actually using the machine, but because it was a fault message, I kind of figured that it could lead to something bigger. So I once again reached out to support showing the message, and they believed that it was a control panel issue, like the control board. So because, you know, it's a brand new machine, it's under warranty, what we were able to do is they were able to send me a replacement control module. And as you can see with the control module, it's on the side of the machine. And so this is also a case where they kind of gave me some instructions on how to take this apart, and I'll kind of go over that with you real here about what I did and kind of what I had to connect, disconnect to get it working. Really lifts up and off to expose the inner workings of the laser. So the culprit in question is this guy. This is the controller module. This pretty much controls all the, you know, Rudia technology. So this is the box that, and you can kind of see through all the labeling in there, that kind of runs the whole show. So all the sensors, the motors, whatnot, everything kind of plugs in. So basically what I had to do is remove the screws from there to slide this up. Excuse me. There we go. Remove those screws so I can slide this out. The tricky part is to carefully getting each and every one of these out. And I actually had to go through this process like 4 times because I took it out, put the new one in. The new one in was giving me errors, but I really needed to finish a project. So I had to put this one, the old one, back in, ignore the errors because I know it was just faulty errors. And then do it back. So yeah, I guess maybe 3 times. But basically, on the 4th time, I got it in, got it all figured out, and it's been working great. So this was just easy swap, and they send you a whole kit full of everything you would probably need. And then when you're done, you send the bad one back plus everything else you didn't use, and that way they don't, you know, charge your credit card. So yeah, that's the brains of the operation. So now the module's in place. I turn on the laser. Mira 3, 4, and 5 all look normal. I go to fire up the laser, and now I'm getting a message that says that my chiller is under temperature and it won't fire because it could harm the laser. And now I'm like, it was, you know, cooler, but my garage is insulated, so it shouldn't be that cool, and the machine's been on for a while. So I was like, I'll leave, come back, see if it warms up. Nope, same message. Chiller is under temperature and it won't fire. Once again, cool feature to protect your laser. Annoying when you're trying to get it to run and you know the temperature should be fine. So I reached out to support again, and looking at the display, I saw that instead of reading the same temperature that was on the back of the chiller, this was reading 0, and which made me think maybe this controller's bad. So what can we do? There was a solution that we kind of discussed that I could set, you know, I can tell it to ignore that. But I was like, that's fine. But if it does get really cold or really hot, I'd kind of like to have that. But what they did do, or what they did was give me you need a default code to be able to adjust those settings. When I went into the settings, I noticed that they were all defaulted. And it makes sense. You get a brand new controller straight from the warehouse. It hasn't been programmed yet. So I went in and just based off of the manufacturer recommendations of how to operate the laser between a certain number of degrees Celsius, I went ahead and input those values into the machine, automatically connected, read exactly what was on my chiller in the back, and we were back in business. So yeah, minor issue, but like I said, it was a replacement part. So I didn't freak out too much, except for the fact that my laser wouldn't fire. But once again, easily resolved with a little bit of communication with the support team. So now on to the 3rd and trickiest issue. Not even the trickiest. 3rd issue. So we've fixed the bed. We've fixed the control panel. Now let's get to work. Well, I cut a few files. All those went great. And then I tried to cut some particular shapes, and my laser was losing steps. And this is all in the same amount of time. So basically, I was cutting a horseshoe shape, an exact horseshoe shape. And what would happen is that the laser would start to make the horseshoe, and then when it goes to finish off the horseshoe, it would either stop or veer off the path, or it did a couple of things in which it just would not cut the horseshoe shape. I tried other files. They kind of worked. Some worked fine. The horseshoe shape, I was like, it can't be the bad file. It's all from the same batch. So this one was a way trickier to try to diagnose. And so I looked back and said, how's the setup running? How is this different from my previous setup? I'm using Lightburn. I'm using the most up-to-date version of Lightburn. It worked and cut all my other stuff, so what makes these files different? And the only thing we can figure out was that I was sending the files directly from my Mac to the laser, so and processing it all from there. So essentially, I just hit start on my computer. It would start the file. It would cut. And then we'd have an issue. The test was to see if I sent the file to the memory on the laser and then hit start, did I have the same problem? And the answer was no. So I was like, okay, so there's something with the communication between my Mac and the machine. So, once again, IT guy, I had a PC around. So I loaded up my PC. Actually, I dual booted my Mac, so I have a Windows version. Anyway, not to get too technical, but I loaded up a PC version of Lightburn, connected it to the laser again, ran the same motions I normally run. I controlled everything from the PC, not interacting with the memory on the laser. Files cut fine. Then I also went ahead and sent the files also to the memory, ran it off the internal memory, and the files cut fine. So that one was a slightly easier fix, way more upsetting when you're cutting through material. But it seems there was a communication issue of trying to run the files directly from the laptop, from the Mac portion of the laptop. So I don't know if it's an OS thing or my laptop needs to be updated, but it was a minor issue and not majorly an inconvenience for me. I mean, it may cause more issues down the line for somebody else, but the workaround is to just send the files directly to the internal memory, hit start, and you're good to go. But I have noticed that things work a little bit better on the PC version, especially like with the camera and the orientation. So it could just be a communication thing. Or I need to buy a new Mac. So yes, brand new laser, brand new into the market. There were some, growing pains. There were some issues. But I have to say and have to give a very big shout out to the Aeon Support team. Like I said, my first email, I got an immediate response that says, hey, we got your email. But then within, I'd say less than 24 hours, I got a response from the support team over there, and not just one response. I actually got multiple responses from different members of the team. Not that they didn't see the other messages, I guess, shift change, but they passed the tickets along within the system. So I probably communicated with 3 to 4 different people throughout the course of all of my issues, to kind of get everything resolved. But everybody was aware of the previous issue, so I didn't have to repeat myself. They had all the data in the previous communication. So the way their system set up over there is really great. And that's one of the things you get when people say, why are you spending so much on a laser? The support. My previous laser, I could not get that kind of support. My last laser had a bad tube. I sent them a message about the bad tube, and they were like, oh, just use more power and it'll fire better. I'm like, that's not how this works. And it took someone else to contact them for them to actually go ahead and send me a replacement tube. So, you're paying for not just a great quality machine, you're also paying for the support that you get to keep that machine running when things like this happen. So, all in all, after all that said and done, we've been working great. The machine's been working great. I've actually been a little bit, because my other laser wasn't as powerful, I wasn't running it to full capabilities, and I did a couple of tests, and I'm cutting at least 3 times as fast on certain projects, and I could probably cut a little bit faster, but I try to run things conservatively. But yeah, everything's good now. It's been great for the past couple of months. So huge shout out to the Aeon support team. And if you've been having any issues, feel free to catch out to them, or hopefully this video is helpful to you. Thanks for watching, and I have more videos on the way where I kind of give you a rundown of how it's been working compared to my other laser. So stay tuned for that, and appreciate your time.